You know, it's the holidays. It's time to think about hanging out with family, doing all those great family things, or maybe not. It might be time to think about divorce. Just trying to lighten the mood just a little bit. And we found out a long time ago, there's one guy that knows a lot about it when your time comes, if it ever does, and that's 50-50 that it does. Jarrod Oxendine.
Good morning, X. How we doing?
I like that. Good morning,
he's always
X.
so upbeat.
I
That's
know.
The fun part of this.
OxLawFirm.com. Jarrod, did you see the guy from Will and Grace? He got dropped his divorce papers day before Thanksgiving.
Oh, that was nice, huh? Something to be thankful for.
It was like 29 years of marriage or something.
I know.
Crazy.
Do you see that a lot? Are they strategic when they drop it like that?
Yeah, I mean, usually if there are children involved, people are hesitant, depending on their circumstances, to file something right before the holidays. Now, there are folks that are in bad situations and toxic environments, and so timing is immediate, regardless of what season it is. But if you don't have a toxic household environment, especially if there are children involved, I will see some people wait until after the holidays. And then, of course, you know, it's like a traffic line outside of my office,
right.
Unfortunately. But some people do kind of wait, you know, just hunker down and get through the holidays. And the holidays can be stressful, right? Because you've got usually a bunch of, you know, other external pressures. You know, you've got in-laws and you got family members and extended family members and friends, and there's just a lot of get-togethers. And for some people, that can be stressful. And if you're already in a stressful relationship with your spouse and you compile the, you know, in-laws and extra family members on top of that, it sometimes can add for a very stressful holiday season, unfortunately.
I'm getting stressed out just hearing you talk about this.
Right? I think, Jarrod Oxendine, I think you should maybe set up a new wing of divorce where we can, like, divorce friends or divorce family. And, you know, that way, and I'm not talking about my family. I'm just saying someone joked the other day about, I wish I could just divorce the brother-in-law. It's like, you know what? I'll ask Jarrod about that. Maybe that'll... And Kevin Costner's not stressing too much because he was on Necker Island over Thanksgiving. So I guess he's got all his priorities sorted out. Okay. We have a blind box set up on the Morning X page at 99x.com. We get a lot of questions coming through there because we don't get your name, we don't get your email, anything like that. So if you have a question for Jarrod you would like to ask him, just pop on the Morning X page. It's pinned up there at the top. You could submit your question. Here's one that just came in, and it's worded interestingly, but I would love to see what you think about it. Because you know what? No question's a bad question. If you have a question about it, you know, send it in. So I'm assuming this has come from a woman, but I could be wrong. The question is, what do men going through divorces wish they had done preemptively when the marriage was still good that would have really paid off for them after it got bad and divorce was put on the table? And then they added, put another way, if you could go back in time to the day just before the marriage started to decline, what would you do?
Yeah, that is a very interesting question, and, you know, there's a lot of different ways to answer it, and it really depends on each circumstance of every case. But, for example, you know, I have some guys that are the breadwinners, and they have a stay-at-home spouse, and maybe there's kids involved, maybe there's not. But, you know, the person sometimes that is the breadwinner has a tendency to be controlling over the finances, and so maybe they're not communicating with their spouse about, you know, financial decisions and what assets they have and, you know, retirement contributions. And so their spouse is in the dark, and there's a resentment that builds up from that over time. And I think a lot of guys would look back and say, hey, I wish I'd been more open with my spouse about the finances. I wish we had made more joint financial decisions. And if so, perhaps I wouldn't be in this position. Lack of communication obviously is a big one for anybody, whether it's a female or a male. That's one of the big things that causes couples to grow apart is just lack of communicating. You know, you just stop talking about things and you hold things in, and all of a sudden, you know, you blow up on each other because you haven't been communicating along the way about important things in your marriage and how to run your household and, you know, how to raise your children. So it comes down to communication. It comes down to being open with each other, you know, being open about the finances, having joint decisions on how you're going to raise your children, not being controlling on the other party. So I think those are the main regrets that most people would look back on and say, hey, I wish I had done things a little differently.
We're talking to Jarrod Oxendine, Oxendine Law, Divorce and Family Law Attorneys, giving you free advice. You may have mentioned this before on one of an earlier segment on the Morning X, but Is there the number one reason for divorce? Was it infidelity, or was it, on the other spectrum, finance?
I would say the number one reason for divorce, honestly, is lack of communication, like we just covered.
Interesting.
Not communicating and growing apart. Number two would be adultery, unfortunately, would be the statistical number two. And then number three would just be financial issues, whether it's controlling on the finances, whether it's poor finances. You know, I have situations where one party's tired of supporting the other spouse, and the other spouse just refuses to get a job, or maybe the other party has a spending problem. So those are the three top reasons for divorce. The main thing that I think you can do, other than what I've just mentioned, to stay married and to have a successful relationship that lasts forever, is to make time for each other. Look, you know, you have kids, you know, if you have kids involved, they keep you busy, right? They keep you hopping. They've got to be here. They got to be there. They have schoolwork. They got homework. They got projects. They got activities. That takes up evenings. It takes up weekends. And you slowly stop making time for you and your spouse. You and your spouse have to just block all that out from time to time and have a date night. Maybe it's once a month. Maybe it's once a week. But take time for your spouse. Go out, just the two of y'all. Have that moment to reconnect. And that really provides for a healthy, long-lasting marriage.
Well, Jarrod Oxendine, I may have a referral for you, because some of the things you're talking about, I have a friend, I'll just say, that just made a purchase, a really large purchase. And didn't tell his wife. and I was like, dude, are you for real? And he said, she'll never know. And I was like, this is going to bite you at some point. It's a very large, more than $10,000 purchase.
That's not good.
That he thinks he's just going to kind of have without her knowing, but that goes into the two of the three reasons you say are the biggest cause for divorce: financial and communication.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is just a big no-no, and you know, I don't care how much he thinks she's not going to find out. She's going to find out. And frankly, if that's his attitude, it's not just this one purchase, right? I mean, he's probably feels like he wears the pants and he makes the financial decisions, and whatever decisions he makes, she's just going to have to live with. So, yes, that is just a smaller subset of the larger problem. Good luck to your buddy. Maybe he will listen to this and change his mind and completely turn around, Barnes. You know, you never know. It could happen.
This last 60 seconds, this is why you want Jarrod Oxendine on your side. Man, I just lit a match under him. He was like, I'm going to tell you something.
Well, I have to say, Barnes, not only is he a divorce attorney, but look, he's giving couples advice throughout this entire segment.
Have you ever uncovered, discovered something wild like that a spouse has bought without the other knowing, and it came to light during the divorce proceedings?
Oh my gosh! I mean, the list goes on and on.
What's a good one?
I could tell you X-rated stuff. We could talk G-rated stuff. I mean,
X-rated.
It's amazing. Some of the X-rated.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I got clients that'll, you know, be behind the scenes, you know, paying prostitutes, for example, right? Or they're wearing out the strip club, or they've got a gambling problem, or you know, they're out buying girlfriends and boyfriends, you know, expensive jewelry. So
with a credit card.
You know, well, so that's the dumb client, right? That's actually doing it on a credit card, because that's trackable, right? I mean, we get the divorce filed, the other attorney sends out a request for the credit card statements, and boom, there everything is. Obviously, if you pay in cash, it's harder to find. But you know, people make financial decisions behind their spouse's back all the time.
All the time.
And that usually will come back to bite you, you know?
What's the code word? What's the credit card charge come up from, like, Cheetah? What does it say? It used to say, like, folly? No, what did it say? It was that restaurant.
That's
you
funny.
should know.
Well, I don't know, but it is interesting, right, that all the strip clubs and sometimes even adult novelty stores, what shows up on the credit card statement is not the actual name of the establishment. But you can Google it. You know, you can Google the name that shows up on the credit card, and it'll tell you what the establishment is. But most people don't catch that if they're not suspecting of something. If your spouse is suspecting of something, you know, they're going to figure it out at some point, right?
I'm still shocked at celebrities, you know, where the males have like an affair, a long-running affair with the nanny, and not think they're going to get caught.
Yeah, that's the dumbest ever. Shopping like that, yeah.
Or the au pair. I've had cases where the au pair comes in, and it's a live-in au pair. You've got this beautiful blonde lady from Switzerland, and she's got blue eyes, and she's sultry and seductive. She's got the tone of voice like Leslie, and just draws him in. And, here we go.
All right. If you have a question about divorce, you can hit up our anonymous little box there on the Morning X page. Or if this is being serious, if you are in it and you need to get real official advice, you need to get hooked up with Jarrod Oxendine. He is the guy you need on your side. oxlawfirm.com. Jarrod, always great to chat.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. See you next month.
The Morning X with Barnes and Leslie.